Hellos. How are we today? It's the end of October. Wrap up time. I've never done a wrap up before. I have obviously done my TBR, so I'm really excited to do this and show you guys the books that I read. To be honest, this was a good reading month for me, especially because I'm just insanely busy with work and all of the social things that I do. It's very hard for me to sit down for time for myself to read, and so just being able to read all of these books, I was really happy and really proud of myself. So I'm gonna try to do more in November, so we'll have to see if I do. So I'm excited though. So I still have to figure out what I'm gonna do for my November TBR, which is also in this video. But let's get on into it. Also, I have my window open. You can hear the wind. It is like 30 outside today. It is so cold. It's a beautiful November 1st. So let's get into the books for October, and let's start with the first book that I finished. And that book is Queen of Shadows by Sarah J Maas. I started this in September, like the end of September, and I ultimately finished it in October. Gosh, this was so perfect in every single way. I would highly, 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 highly recommend reading Assassin's Blade before this. I feel like I wasn't lost at all. You talk about a lot of things that happened in Assassin's Blade, a lot of recurring characters, and it is just overall like a good point to like stop, take a break, let's go back in time, look at this, come back, put it all together in this book. Because this book wraps it all up. It is just so well done. Everything fits perfectly. I feel like it just flows really good. Going from Assassin's Blade into this, I loved this book. I loved it. I feel like for the first 3 books in Assassin's Blade, I feel like we were kind of just still building everything up, still learning, still a lot of world building, a lot of character development, stuff like that. And in this book, all of that into this, and it was all like, okay, let's open the floodgates and let's get this shit rolling, you know? Everything just flowed so well. There was action, but there was also some info dump, but it didn't feel like info dump. Like I was wanting it, I was ready for it. The information we were given was perfect. I think this is my favorite one out of the series right now, and it was perfect. And not only that, the little romance and the subplot of like tension and all that, I loved it. I loved it. I love it. Not even just, you know, that ship. I was shipping so many other people, and I don't know if they're going to get together, but I was like, that would be cool. So I don't know. I got spoiled for a lot in this book, unfortunately. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. The fantasy didn't feel overwhelming, which was another bit. I feel like that happens with a lot of fantasy books. I understood everything, especially because I read Heir of Fire in March, and Sarah J Maas does this with her books. I was like reading something and I was like, wait, what is that? And then literally the next sentence was, this is blah, 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 blah. It was like a little background and being like, oh, you know what? Maybe you didn't read this book in a while. Here's that info right there. And it was perfect because then I didn't have to go on wild goose chase for that information. I could have it right in the book. And she does that with like all of her books, and I absolutely love it because it's just right there. It's right there and I'm not lost. I absolutely love this book. 5 out of 5, and I'm so glad I finished it, and I can't wait to get on to the rest of the series. So probably that'll be like next year. We'll have to see. So next book. So the next book is another exciting book. I talked about this in my last video. I gave a little information on it, but I wanted to talk about it more. The next book I finished was Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I'm so sorry. Drumroll. 5 out of 5. Did I just 5 out of 5 2 books? Yeah. This one was good. This one was good. Good. If you don't know what Silent Patient is about, it's about Alicia, and she is the silent patient. So one night she murders her husband and shoots him 5 times in the face, and then 6 years go by without her saying another word. A psychotherapist, Theo, goes in to try to interview her and try to get her story because it's just so out of the ordinary. Everyone says that like her and her husband were in love and she would never do this, and this is so out of the ordinary, and she sounded fine. I never saw this. This book grabs you in so many different directions, just so many different plot points. Sorry, I'm trying not to spoil right now. And you're like, you know, you're just back and forth everywhere. You're all over the place. And then by the end, I was still like what is her story? Like, what happened? Like, this is so weird. Like, everything is just not flowing. And I had my suspicions, and then it happened at the end, and I was like, shut up. I sat there in silence. My parents watched me read that page. Mind blown. You know what page I'm talking about, but that page flowed so perfect. That transition, perfect. Absolutely loved it. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. So we go from Theo's perspective perspective to Alicia's journal entries in her diary, and I feel like that was a good back and forth. The suspense, the thriller was amazing. My jaw dropped, and I'm very excited that I got to read it, and I finally did. This has been on my TBR list for like a year, 2 years, something like that. Absolutely brilliant. Read it. Next book. So the next book, if we're like staying on my TBR, let's get into it. I read The Cellar, and this is by Natasha Preston. So The Cellar is about Summer, and Summer goes to like go find her friends because she gets like in a fight with her boyfriend or something, and she ultimately gets kidnapped by this guy, and he's like calling her Lily, and she's like, you freak, like, no, I'm not Lily. He kidnaps her and he puts her in the cellar with a couple other girls. It's Rose, Poppy, and Violet, and they're all in the basement together. She finds out that all of their names have been changed to flowers, and he likes to like, he calls them his perfect family. I loved it. This would have been a 5 stars, I feel like, or at least close to one, if the ending was different. So let me get into that. Okay, I gave The Cellar 4 stars. I think this is like exactly a 4 stars. Like I was saying in my other video, it just had this suspense that like freaked me out and made me scared. Like, I don't ever want to be in a position where like someone's trying to take me, and this was making me so anxious and stressed out. Like my fight or flight was kicking in. There are some trigger warnings in this before. There's like sexual assault, kidnapping, stuff like that. A lot of traumas in this book. Definitely before going into it, just know about that. But this book overall was just so good. I was so scared for her and everything she had to endure. I just wish the ending was different. I feel like the ending, this was like 300 pages, I think. I enjoyed the book. The ending was like not what I wanted it to be. The way that it was like writing, I felt like it was gonna go into a whole other different way, and I wish it did went in that way. That's what I wanted, that's what I was craving, and the way that it happened just didn't feel good, like satisfactory. Like I felt like I wanted more, so it just didn't feel like it was a satisfaction. There is a second book to this book. I think it's called like, people are saying You Will Be Mine. That's like a whole different story, so I think it's on the Wattpad app if you want to read the second book. I was thinking of doing it, but honestly I like how this ended and I don't really want to pick it up again. The ending like really just like flew me off. I don't understand like how Summer's mind was after she got kidnapped. I won't understand what she's gone through because obviously I've never been kidnapped, and that's a lot of trauma, and that was like 8 months or whatever. I don't know, everyone reacts to trauma differently, so maybe that's her way of reacting, but it was just different. Overall though, I did like it. It was a 4 out of 5 stars for me. So yeah. Next book is off of my TBR. So in all, I read 3 out of the 6 books on my TBR. I wanted to read other books. I wanted to read those ones. We'll see if I'll get to those. I don't know if I'll get to them in November. We'll have to figure that out. I'm glad that I at least got 3 out of the way of my TBR, but now we're gonna get into the next book. I read it on my Kindle, and that was Awkward in October. We'll just hold up my Kindle for a second. Okay. What did I give that? And I gave it a 3 out of 5. Interesting. So I wanted to read something a little bit more lighthearted. I was in the mood for something that was gonna like put me in a cute October fall mood, and this did it. Okay, so it's about Theodora, and Theodora pretty much has like a full like life flip. She quits her job and she moves to Salem to get a witch house for a really good price, and she becomes pretty much a renovator. She moves to Salem and she meets like a bunch of pretty much old people and get into the neighborhood and welcome her, and it's super cute in that aspect of Salem because of all the witchiness and the spooky Halloween stuff, because you know Salem goes out for that stuff. That was really cute, but also she, like I said, she is renovating a house to be her own house. She like saves this elderly woman, I forget her name, from cheese. And then she's like, my grandson will help you with the renovations. Like, this is your reward. And she's like, oh, sweet, thank you. Carter, that's his name, helps her with the renovations. And she finds out that he's like the hot jogger that was jogging by her house. So they're kind of like a grumpy sunshine connection. He helps her with her renovations, and her renovations seem to be a lot more than she expected. It was a lot more than she could chew. So she's kind of stuck there, but along with doing the renovations, they kind of get this connection, and it's just super cute. It was just a little too Hallmarky for me. Like, she has these pet hamsters and she talks about them all the time, and then she also has like this degree in some sort of like like design and furniture or something. It's like very interesting, and she's like obsessed with this one book, and that's the reason she moves to Salem, is because that's where the book was made. And so she pretty much goes there to like reenact the book. Okay, Rosie. So she pretty much goes there to reenact the book and to try to find her like true love. Sweetie pie. Okay. Oh my goodness. Because she's like so obsessed with it, and she's really obsessed with like the love interest, and like pretty much wants that for her life. And so she tries to reenact it, and she just got some high standards, to be exact. But I like the book. I didn't like the main character as much because she started to get like all snappy for some stupid reason to Carter, and it just got on my nerves because it was like ridiculous. So I didn't like that, but overall the book was good, and I liked the little like escape to like a cute Salem town, and there's like pumpkin patches, and there's witches, and there's like a haunting, like stuff like that. It was just super cute, and I enjoyed reading it, and it was like a good break from all the darkness that I read in October. So there's that. And then those were all the books I read in October. But we are going to get into the next books for November. Let me just grab them. These are the books that I decided to pick for November. I'm mostly like a mood reader, so I don't really follow TBRs. I don't know, they kind of just like set me up for what I'm thinking of reading. These are a couple books that have been on my TBR for a very long time, so I want to try to get to them. But along with that, there are some spooky books I do want to get to before like fall is done with. Example like the X-Hex. I really want to read that. Hold on, let me just read the entire thing. I've heard good things about the book. So 9 years ago, Vivian Jones nursed her broken heart like a young witch would. Vodka, weepy music, bubble baths, and a curse on the horrible boyfriend. Sure, Vivi knows she shouldn't use her magic this way, but with only an orchard hayride scent candle on hand, she isn't worried it will cause him anything more than a bad hair day or two. That is until Rise Penhallow, descendant of the town's ancestors, breaker of hearts and annoying just as gorgeous as he always was, returns to Grace Glen, Georgia. What would be a quick trip to recharge the town ley lines and make an appearance at the annual fall festival turns just disastrously wrong. With one calamity after another striking Rise, Vivi realizes her silly little X-Hex may not have been so harmless after all. Suddenly, Graves Glen is under attack from murderous wind-up toys, pissed off ghosts, and a talking cat with some interesting things to say. Vivi and Rye have to ignore their off-the-charts chemistry to work together to save the town and find a way to break the breakup curse before it's too late. I want to read that. That's like been on my mind this entire month. I just haven't gone to the bookstore. Like, you look over there, it looks full, but that's like it. That's all I have to read. And like, I feel like that's not a lot. So I need to go to the bookstore soon, but I want to get that book really bad. So on my list. Other than that, here we go. Let's get into it. I want to read The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This was on my list for October. I just never got to it, and I really want to read it, especially because it's just all these like fall themes. So X-Hex and The 7-Year Split are definitely on my mind. If you didn't watch my October one, this one is about this girl moves into her deceased aunt's house, and she finds a man standing in her kitchen, and he is in the past and he is there. So it's kind of like the apartment's on like a line where past and the present kind of submerge. So he's from the past, she's from the present, and they kind of start to fall in love. So I'm really excited to read it. This is definitely what I want to read next. This has been on my mind, so if I can just get this and the X-Hex done, I'm fine. I'm so happy, you know? So that is my idea. The next book is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Yes, I forgot to put the take off the Target sticker. I got this like the first day of school. Or no, the day before the first day of school because we went to Target. This is like pretty much like fake dating type stereos. So this is about Liz. So it's basically like Liz has this huge crush on this guy named Michael, and he moves back to town, and Michael starts to hit it off with Wes, and Wes has been like a pain in Liz's ass for like forever. Wes and Liz start to fake date, and he pretends to be like her homecoming date or something like that, or her prom date, meaning that if Liz wants Michael to finally notice her and hopefully be her prom date, she needs Wes. He's her in, and she actually starts to really like being around Wes. Pretty much they pretty much fall in love. So it's fake dating. I don't really know if the only time I've ever read a fake dating was The Upside of Falling, and that's like a Wattpad one. So this is another like cute little romance. And then the next book, I don't really care if I get to. It's not like a big priority, but I do want to use it for my research paper. So that book is The Radium Girls, and this is by Kate Moore. So I'm doing a research paper for history on the Radium Girls. We pretty much have to talk about the events in history and why is it so monumental to cis history. And Radium Girls, I don't know if you guys have heard about it yet. If you haven't, you definitely should watch the movie that's with oh my god, that one girl, Joey. You should definitely watch the movie. I absolutely love the movie. But the Radium Girls were these girls that worked in the 1940s, where hundreds of girls pretty much went to go work at the factories to paint the clock faces on watches. And the way they did it is they used radium paints, and they would like put it in their mouth to make the pen or like the paintbrush more like pointier. They would wear it in like their hair as makeup, on their clothes, because it glows. And that's like the biggest thing. It was like the new perfect drug because it cured cancer. Little did they know, obviously radium is extremely dangerous and very toxic. Obviously this creates a lot of issues. I read one account, and this woman had like 3 different forms of cancer, and she like lost all her teeth all because of just licking the paintbrush. It is very damaging to your body. And so I found this book, and it's pretty much just like a bibliography of the scandal that happened, and it talks about all of what happened, the lawsuits, what the girls went through. So yeah, there's like pictures in it too. Oop, those are my tabs. So I just wanted to get to it because my research paper is due at the beginning of December before the year ends. So I wanted to try to get to it that I can use it for my research paper. So there's that. And then the next book I have is The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. I got this from Dylan for our 2 years. So this book is about 17-year-old Kiva Meriden, and she has spent the last 10 years fighting for survival in the notorious death prison, Zelendorf, working as a prison healer. It's something like the rebel queen is captured, and Kiva is charged in pretty much healing her and making sure she's ready for her trial. And the trial is by the ordeal, a series of elemental challenges against the torments of air, fire, water, and earth, assigned to only the most dangerous of criminals. Then a coded message from Kiva's family arrives containing a single order: don't let her die, we are coming. Aware that the trials will kill the sickly queen, Kiva risks her own life and volunteers in her place. If she succeeds, both she and the queen will be granted their freedom. But no one has ever survived. With an incurable plague sweeping Zelendorf, a mysterious new inmate fighting for Kiva's heart, and a prison rebellion brewing, Kiva can't escape the terrible feeling that her trial has only just begun. Okay, that's a lot more than I thought it was, but I'm really excited. This sounds really good. This is a trilogy, I believe. And then the last 2 books, I know this is like a meaty TBR list, but we also have Thanksgiving break, so we'll see what I get done. I think I could get a good bit done. The next book is The City of Fallen Angels by Cassandra Clare. This is the book. What just happened to my voice? Hold on. The lighting is like changing. The next book I want to try to get done is City of Angels, and this is by Cassandra Clare. This is the 4th book in the Mortal Instruments series, and this is after the Mortal War. So Claire Fay is back in New York, and she's just training with the other shadow hunters. This is her, Cassandra Clare's first series too. So the first 3 books kind of like end together. So pretty much the war is over, there's peace, they're pretty much just like training. Clary knows that Jace isn't her brother, and that's very weird. But someone is murdering shadow hunters. Yeah, and it goes into a lot of things, like Simon has to deal with his own issues because everyone wants him on his side because of his curse, and then Jace is pulling away from Clary, like little other subplots. But I'm really excited. I haven't read the series in a good second because I just kind of pulled away from it because the 3rd book wasn't my favorite. I really liked the 1st book. I think it's because it kind of gave me a feeling of just like being at home, because that was like my favorite TV series to watch. It's definitely a lot different from the TV series, a lot better. But like I still like want to finish the Mortal series, so then I can get into the other books. So we'll see if I finish this. I just haven't read it in a second, so it's been a hot minute. And then the last book I want to get to, I don't know how long I've had this on my TBR. I need to get it done now. It is absolutely like crazy how long this has been on my TBR. Anyways, this is the Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and this is by V.E. Schwab. It's France, 1714. In a moment of despair, a young woman named Adeline meets a dangerous stranger and makes a terrible mistake. As she realizes the limitations of her Faustian bargain, being able to live forever without being able to be remembered by anyone she sees, Addie chooses to flee her small village as everything she once held dear is torn away. But there are still dreams to be had, and a life to live, and she is determined to find excitement and satisfaction in the wide, beckoning world, even if she will be doomed to be alone forever. Or not quite alone, as every year on her birthday, the alluring Luke comes to visit, checking to see if she is ready to give up her soul. Their darkly thrilling game stretches through the ages, seeing Addie witness history and fight to regain herself as she crosses oceans and tries on various lives. It will be 300 years before she stumbles into a hidden bookstore and discovers someone who can remember her name, and suddenly everything changes again. I've had this for like 3 years. I need to finish it. It's a beautiful book. It sounds amazing. Yeah, my friend read it. She says she loved it. So yeah, we're gonna have to read it soon. And what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books on my TBR. Am I going to get to them? No, but I have to have a lot of books on there. You know, there's a lot of options for this semester. Semester? What did I just say? Okay, anyway, so we'll see what I get through, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed also the wrap up and the TBR portion of this video. I'll see you guys in my next video. You guys have a good first day of November and had a good Halloween, so stay safe. I love you guys. I'll see you guys in my next video.
He took me far from home. He said this place I know